if you had a deep enough reason, you wouldn't quit so easily. See, you can't let your ends justify your means. You got to let your means justify your ends. If you let your ends justify your means, you become an opportunist. You compromise your integrity, your moral obligation, not the collective morality, the morals about yourself. You have to have values and a set of principles and the belief system. So, you got to let your means justify your ends. The actions that you take do not compromise your integrity. It's only about conviction, and that conviction, in turn, leads to the ends you have, the ends you make. So, this is why having principles or philosophy is so important to you. What is a philosophy? A philosophy is a set of guiding principles of a person, or in the business context, a business, around its interactions and its decision making that extends beyond the mere profit of it, that extends beyond making money. These are principles. So, in my life, I have a set of guiding principles. And let me make this clear as well. Now, I'm going to give you an example of a principle. This could be as simple as a quote from a philosopher. Now, you can adopt a quote from a philosopher, but you won't be able to gain the gift of that quote because you haven't fully experienced that terrain in which that quote came from. So you can adopt a belief that it's aligned with your values. But in order to repurpose or say a quote, you won't be able to gain the gift from that quote because you haven't walked that path. So this is why having your own belief system and a principle to your belief system is so important. It adds value to you. You can state your opinion. You have a voice. So, I made this like probably more than a decade ago. Probably like 12, 13 years ago. It was to that beat. What was that beat? What's the meaning? What's the meaning of life? From Jay-Z's song. So I made something to that. This is more than a decade ago. So this is like a principle. Okay, what I said was, it's short too. So I hope, stay for this because it is important. It's important. It goes like this. What's the meaning of life? To believe it or to seek it. Whatever walk on, put you beneath it. Aiming for a millionaire. Didn't use a lifeline. With that, I bought a Breitling. It lasts a lifetime. But these bitches don't. I killed the rat in the trap, so these snitches won't. Ooh. Been had a vision, always knew my sole purpose. My gun hot like the core, or blow the whole surface. With my concubines, like King Solomon do. If they hungry, get them joints off the dollar menu. But all this yada yada, I gotta go. Before this chopper da spider fold. The only soul you took was out of your chute. Just cop the fox fur and it's powdery blue. What's the meaning of life is in the dictionary. I found the meaning of life is when she's missionary. Ho, 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 ho. See? Don't go there. Get your mind out the gutter. I'm not talking about something sexual. When I said, this is it, what's the meaning of life is in the dictionary. I found the meaning of life is when she's missionary. I'm not talking about something sexual, so get out the gutter with your perverted, dirty minds. It's not nothing sexual. See, when you're a visionary, you become a missionary of your vision. So the life is in missionary. This is the path that I'm walking on. So if me being a visionary, I'll walk in my mission. She's missionary. And then out of that mission, I create something. I create my creation, which is my baby. I found the meaning of life is when she's missionary. Being able to be prolific and produce. See, that's a principle. If you align yourself with making something that'll produce more of what it is, people call it leverage or whatever you want to call it. But being able to be prolific and produce and be abundant and only see abundance. It's no lack out here. It's a principle. You could see it. It's trees. It's fruitful. It keeps on regenerating and it keeps happening. So, a principle. It's very important to have. So what are the steps of having a philosophy to you that aligns with you? The first thing into having a philosophy will be to identify patterns that don't change, things that don't change, that can be applied in the macro world and in the micro world. I'll explain that in a little bit. The second thing is to, when you identify that, is to align it with your core values. It doesn't change. I'm going to get to that. And the third thing is, I'm making it as simple as possible, but I can continue. I can keep on so many sub categories to that. But the third thing will be to lead with that principle in your everyday life. And this is very effective because you can't lose with principles because it's happening around you. These are patterns that you don't see that are happening around you. Meaning a principle is simplistic, a simple version to explain what a principle is you throw something up, it'll come back down. You breathe in, you breathe out. Principles. You can lead your life. Like if you're creating something, let it flow. It goes how it comes in your creative nature. Whatever you're creating, just put it out there. And nature works like that because we do that unconsciously. And there's the feedback loop, there's the transmutation. See, there's sub components to this. But as soon as you identify a hidden pattern, you align it with your values, and then you lead with that every day. See, this is what happens when you do create a philosophy around whatever you're doing. When this happens, If you have a strong foundation, if you have a belief system with a philosophy, with principles, you know what happens? You want to know what happens? You won't lack endurance. You'll have stamina forever. Meaning, you won't be discouraged by the resistance of the life, because you know the resistance is part of the principle. Meaning, I plant the seed in the ground. When the little seedling and it starts sprouting, it has to meet that resistance of its own, or of the dirt in its own seed, to be able to bust through that seed and sprout up out of the dirt. Imagine all that resistance that you don't see. But when you have a strong philosophy, the resistance in the life won't matter. You would have all the stamina to keep going, because you know that that's the part of the principle. And this is why a mindset is so important. A mindset is a set of a mind. I put my car in cruise control, and I'm set on that speed. It's a mindset. This is important. I can, just like the quote example I gave you, you can adopt the quote, but you won't be able to, if you was to repurpose that and say that, it won't be no resonance, because you haven't walked that process. You haven't walked that terrain in order to adopt in conviction, fully make someone else believe that that comes from you. But you can understand that truth. And understanding that truth, that'll be a catalyst, and it'll compound into your life. And you can use that. But you have to identify it and define it in your own way. This is what I'm talking about. Principles. So, I explained what are the steps, what is the philosophy, what is the principle. Now, this is what I believe. And why is it useful to me? Meaning, let me give you a practical example of something like this in the life. So, I have a system where, like, let's make it practical and relatable. I make content, right? So I have a system where I call it the content garden. I'm gonna give you an example of why this is a principle of mine. This is what I believe. This is why it's helpful to me. It might be helpful to you. I'm not telling you to do my tactic or my technique, because only if I give you a tactic, where I was going with that mindset, if you don't have the mindset, you won't be able to get the result of that technique or tactic, because your mindset is off, your values is off, your beliefs is off, your principles is off, your conviction is off. So it's the cause, and those are that's the surface level would be the tactic or technique. So you could buy. I'm not against courses. I'm not against these things. This channel is about mindset first, the prerequisites in order to achieve a certain result. You won't be able. Like I said, I could adopt the quote. I could buy this course or technique, but it won't be at the pinnacle of its performance. I won't produce the same outcome because I don't have the mindset that goes with that course. So I love talking about the mindset first, because I had to transmute a lot in my journey. So the content garden, I call it the content garden. Why? Because if I plant a seed, or if I eat an apple, This is about abundance. If I eat an apple, seed falls in the ground and creates more. It's like an asset or whatever you want to call it. So it's a content garden. It's a principle of nature. I make content. I take little parts of that content and create other content. A seed falls, makes a tree, it produces more. And where this is very important. See, when I was talking about aligning with your values, this is why you have to align it with your values or your beliefs. This is true to me. I didn't just get this like, oh, I'm gonna name it the content garden because of the principles of nature. Yes, like we breathe in, breathe out. It's carbon monoxide or carbon dioxide or whatever you call it. I don't have the right term. I probably don't. The trees take it in, transmutes it, and turns it into oxygen for others. Same concept of the content garden, but it's more about the seed that I plant and how can I use it on other platforms. And I'm gonna get into that too. It's not randomly. So the content garden, I plant the seed falls in the ground, a new tree comes out of that, it produces more, and I keep on going with that content, with that original script or content. I call it the content garden because it's never ends. Is abundance. So where did this philosophy come from? It's the true question, right? I'm amazed about it myself because I'll tell you a little story about myself. When I was little, I think I explained this before, I was allergic to every plant. Like pollen, really, in the springtime. So significant. Now, what I realized was I was allergic because the dialogue within myself and everything that I said, I saw. So I was emphasizing or declaring a version of me where the life didn't want me around, especially in the spring. I wasn't talking with abundance. I was talking with lack, with probably things that I was insecure about, fear, and that didn't allow me to spring or receive a call like spring, ring, 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 spring, ring. I couldn't receive that. So God was like, yo, you got to stay put and fix this real quick before you even interact with the life outside. When things are flourishing, you have more work to do. And I was willing to do the work. And you should too. You could too. So the content garden was about, oh, it's spring. It's prolific. It's abundant. It creates. There's a season for that. And this is what wealth comes from. Having principles that align with your values. And these principles, this is wealth. This is wealth. To be able to use nature, the life around you. And if there's no lack, you have this in you too. Use everything around you. This is wealth, resources. I use everything as a resource. You could too. That's what I'm trying to tell you. There's principles to this. You should have your own principles. Why a principle of you? Because now you're convicted. You have conviction. You have a voice. You have an opinion to voice. And you stand by your opinion or your views. This is what creates the value within you that you can transfer onto others. The belief you got. So it's not what I'm telling you. It's what you feel. What you feel about what I'm telling you and how I feel about myself when I'm telling you this. So your means should justify your ends. Don't compromise your integrity. Don't become an opportunist. You have morals. You have your own set of principles that you live by. But use the universal patterns of it. Let's get back to that because I just went on a tangent. let's get back to the content garden. So I was allergic to everything, and I was not talking in abundance. So I used my content in that way. So I transmuted it, that experience of my life, and use it as a part of my content. It's called the content garden, where I keep on leveraging my content. It's abundance. I don't look for stuff. It's right there, right in front of me. Wealth is all around me. You have wealth all around you. You just haven't developed or you feel like you can't access it, and you're looking for it because you haven't developed the awareness to access it. So first get the awareness that it's around you, and then it'll notice you. Like, oh, it notices me. It's around you. Use your resources. You don't have to look for nothing. Things will find you. You'll become magnetic, gravitational, like a solar system. It'll just pull things to you. And you get to have the discernment to flush things out. You develop the infrastructure. It keeps on going. So take your time. But the content garden. So I use my experience, and I call it the content garden because plant a seed in the ground, make the content, it makes a tree, and it develops more content around that original content, and it keeps flowing. And then I have my garden, which is the people that resonate with this. So I nurture that. I take care of that, meaning I do that within myself as well. And then I have the people I work with, which is where it becomes fruitful. And I invite people to the garden, and that's the journey of my clients or the people I work with. So that's the content garden. But that philosophy came from an experience where I was unaware of the abundance around me. So now, there's another, this is a little bonus. So, there's another thing, if we're talking about content, since we're talking about content, you could make content and, keep on leveraging your content off the other content. And it's how you share it now. Now you got to have a set of principles on how you put it together in other gardens or in other stores. How you distribute this. How do you distribute it into other platforms? Principles. Back to principles and my philosophy. I'm not saying, I don't want you to take this as a tactic, but this was very helpful to me. Help me understand what's going on. You could, through your lens, you can give meaning to it, make your own rules, and then pivot if you have to. But platforms, see, this is a perspective change or mindset change on how you make content or perceive your content or perceive the platforms. You could just take a piece of content and put it everywhere, put it anywhere. See, there's my philosophy where I call it archetypes. A certain archetype, each platform. Meaning like TikTok, Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, X. Let's go with these, right? They have a certain archetype. And the archetype is principles. I think Carl Jung mentioned this. There's a universal pattern, what I talked about. There's a pattern that doesn't change from the macro to the micro. And it's is in the collective unconscious of everyone, even if you don't see it. So these archetypes, so let's say Instagram, right, has an archetype, principles to it. You could say it's the lover or hero. And I don't like to see things as negative or positive. But let's say Instagram has a lover or hero. It means like you're showing your personal journey. It's also informative, but it's showing you what can be done. And the perception of how people might look at it in the negative connotation will be the persona. Like the mask or social mask that you put on to make people see you in that light. Instagram is all about that. So how would you have a good persona? Why is the lover or the hero? Why I see it in that way? Because you don't have to have a mask. You could be optimistic and share your content that way on Instagram. It adds weight, but it's an Instagram. It adds weight. And you have to know that there's certain archetypes. TikTok could be like it's fun. The deepest parts of you that's fun. Or like you could share profound wisdom. It's like a sage or a trickster, which is like information, too much information. It trick you out of what you're thinking. And you know what? Woo, I felt that. I got chills. It's just like, China was not, they was about to ban TikTok, right? Or something like that. And this is why I'm saying the archetype, the trickster. You remember the time where TikTok was about to get banned and they almost banned it out. It was like a psyop, like a banned out of your phone so you can't even access TikTok. That, I had a conversation with one of my brothers and I'm like, damn, so they doing this so a phone with TikTok is worth like $50,000? So that's like, people don't value life. So if I see you with your phone and you got TikTok on it, damn, you could be killed for that. Trickster. You get it? It's a persona. It's a trickster or profound wisdom. Whichever one you choose or you find the balance within there. LinkedIn could be the master. The guy who understands the systems that run it. Like wisdom of your business and how you run it. X is just like has the archetype of expressing the deepest thoughts. It's like a journal. You type it in, boom, and it goes. So I made it simple, but it's deeper than that. I do have systems for that identify that. But there's certain archetypes and universal patterns that can be applied to anything you do. And why having a philosophy can be useful for you. Because you would have conviction, which means people will resonate with your truth and you could work with them and develop frameworks or systems that can be useful for the people that you do work with. Because you have a strong belief and you analyzed it, you evaluated it, you measured it. You won't, and ultimately you could you know, monetize it or get some money out of it. Another reason why having a philosophy is important, it can be useful, because it creates an opportunity that people don't see, and you can open the minds of others with your philosophy so they can create their own, which goes back into creating things that's useful for others. So it's like content gardens. The philosophy is abundant. It keeps on going. And in the personal side of it, you can't lose because you with God. This is what that is. You have integrity. You have a moral that you, not the collective one, yours. You stand on your truth. And the information you gather, the time that you invested to gain all this knowledge can be useful to others. Philosophy, your philosophy. You learn that you can create your own rules out of them. And you can walk with that truth. In the personal side, things will just repel that don't. When you lead with that, with those principles, things that don't serve those principles just automatically repel. And the mindset, these principles are set within you, which is only beneficial. So, hopefully that helped you guys, because I went a little deep and I went a little surface, but that was the goal, to make you understand that developing a philosophy around anything you do will give you more energy. Like, why you do it will help you understand what you do. And I stand by that. So remember, man, let's keep it infinite, man.